you guys can see, this is our Freak oil pan that we had previously modified to fit our subframe. Really nice modification done here. However, after doing some measuring, we lost about just over 3/4 of a quart of oil by doing this modification. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut this pan up a little more. As you can see here where I've notched out with a marker, I'm gonna cut this out and we're gonna actually build in a window, a little tray that's gonna hold another quart of oil. So essentially one more of these is gonna fit in here once I'm done with this. Some of the things to take into consideration when doing this is clearances. And this pan is pretty funky in that it's actually not, it actually sits like this. So this is actually flat. The engine sits in crooked. So we have to take that into account as well. So we want to make sure this is nice and symmetrical once we make the metal extensions, which I stopped off at Industrial Metal Supply this morning here in San Diego. Picked up some 16 gauge, which is probably a little heavier than what this is, but we're basically gonna create our own dropout. So I can show you over here with the pan off the car. So as we come out this way, we're gonna start running into issues with being able to tighten in our motor mounts. So we can only go out so far so we can get a wrench up in there. We want to take all that into account. If you're ever doing this, I highly recommend taking a look at both sides. Don't just start cutting and welding. Make sure you have clearance. Now, we could go to the turbo side or the hot side and go out this way, or we could do both. We could go out both ways a little bit to create the additional capacity we need. We're gonna start with a quart. I think that's probably enough to get us back where we need to be. Keep in mind, we also added an oil cooler and some decently long oil cooler lines, which also adds capacity. Either way, we're in the plus here, but what we don't want to do is go backwards. Adding this little window to the side of our pan is a necessity, so let's get started. Well, I went ahead and cut my template apart. That wasn't part of it, and laid it out flat so that I could cut it out of sheet metal, which I did here. I already started bending it, as you guys can see. I'm really trying to get this done, so I forgot to pick up the camera. But so we're using our Eastwood 3-in-1 here to bend this up. We did use the shear over here from Eastwood also to cut this out, and then I used the bandsaw to get the tight cuts in. So I'm gonna go ahead and keep bending away on this thing. All right, well, it's getting pretty late here, guys. Everybody went home. I'm left here to my vices because I was trying to get this oil pan buttoned up before I went home, and I'm pretty happy with the way it's turning out, as you can see. This is the previous modification we did to clear our subframe, and this is the modification I did today. I didn't film a whole ton of it because I was just trying to get through it, and it's looking pretty good. I'm fairly happy. It's pretty warm still, so as you can see, it juts out the pan real nice, and we've got considerable quantity of oil in there. So it's just tacked for now, but pretty happy with the way it turned out. And I went ahead and welded outside first, and I went around and welded on the inside as well. Want to try to prevent any leakage. Wanted to try to prevent any leakage that may happen, but as you can see, we're able to get this fitted up pretty nice. The gaps look pretty good there. We'll go ahead and just run wire brush over this, and we can decide if we just want to TIG it up in the morning and make it look a little more fancy. I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here for tonight. We'll pick back up tomorrow. Hope you guys are enjoying the content.
All right, so I just realized I'm about halfway through this project and I haven't picked up the camera. So now I'm going ahead and doing the finish welding all the way around. And then the pan's actually not done. So we're gonna send this off to our buddy Track Tough Rob, and he's going to install a custom baffling setup in here so that when you're on the track, you're not gonna have any oil starvation issues. So we'll put you guys down on a little time lapse. I'll finish this up and then we'll show you guys what it looks like.
Finally today, we actually have all the tools we need so we can finish the AC lines for the bad app, for the Freak, not the bad apple. I missed the bad apple. I'm gonna take the front bumper off, and I'm gonna get the tools ready, the lines that we need, and I'm just gonna get to work. Alright, so here we have 3 different sizes of lines for the AC. We have some fittings, and all this is from Vintage Air that was supplied with the kit that we got for the Honda Civic. So there is also a small diagram here that it shows you how everything should be routed, which is fairly simple. So here we have the dryer that we mounted a few days ago, and then from here, we just put this here just to make sure we have enough clearance for them. And then from here, we need to do a line from this one to this side. And then from here, it goes all the way to our firewall. And from our firewall, it comes back to the compressor side. So we're gonna be doing the small holes first, the one that goes from here to there. We'll make that cut, and then, oh, we have a special tool. Hold on. Check this out. This is the tool that we need to be able to compress this fitting into the holes that we have. Oh, it already comes to the hole cover. Yeah, this is something that we just picked up online, and I'm gonna try it for the first time. Oh wow. Ha!
Dang,
Super cool.
that's crazy. Tied on there?
Oh yeah, she's not moving for sure. That's cool, man. Look at that. We got our first AC line made. Alright, so now that we have the one line done, I was trying to figure out how to make the second one, or the third one, or the fourth one. The problem is that I'm missing the fittings that go on the air compressor. So the air compressors have the stock fittings for the Honda, but for this aftermarket kit, we had to buy some adapters. The adapters are not here yet, so I cannot make those lines yet. So I want to make sure that I'm using the right size. And then the one that goes from the firewall to the other side of the dryer, I think it's just a really awkward spot for us to put it on, and the route that I actually want to do, we don't have enough lines. So when I get online, I'm gonna place another order for that one line that I need, and then as soon as it comes in, I guess we'll come back and we'll finish the lines. Woo! Finally, it is the next day, and now that we have one of the lines done, which is the number 6 line, we are gonna do the second number 6 line that's gonna go from here to the firewall. Now, I've been doing measurements, different ways of how to route this line, and the best way that I could come up with was going from the dryer under the intercooler in between the radiator and making a right turn here straight back to the firewall. And as you notice here, we have the turbo side, which is the hot side. So we made phone calls to Vintage Air, Rick, the owner, and he says that as long as it's at least a couple of inches apart with that heat sleeve on it, it should be perfectly fine. Now we have about 6 inches apart, so we're gonna be more than good than being along the left side of the frame. All the way across, the line should be perfectly fine, and we shouldn't have any issues with our AC. So I'm gonna make the line right now. Almost like I know what I'm doing. This at first, honestly, I was like, this is gonna be impossible. It's gonna be a pain in the butt, but having the tools and just this basic kit is super easy to do. I feel confident now that I can put an AC unit or a system in any car. Doesn't matter what it is. This is super simple. Let's keep going.
Wait, so what that line that you just ran?
Right.
What is that? It goes to the firewall for what?
From the firewall, it goes into our actual AC unit, which is more lines. So in here, in the other side of the firewall, we have to make more lines. We have to do that number 6 line. It has to go in and back here, and then we have to do a number 10 line that goes from here to the firewall. And from the firewall, it goes to the compressor, and that's how you loop the entire system. All right, so now that we have the number 6 lines ran, we are going to switch to the number 10, which means that we take stuff out and we replace it with other stuff. Maybe we should put the ace here.
Yeah.
Looks strong enough. To the Batmobile. From this side of the compressor, it's gonna go to the line just like so. But we are waiting on one adapter that's gonna show up any day now. So at least that line is done. The other line that's left to be ran, it is the number 8 that goes from the other side of the compressor to the condenser right up here. So I'm gonna work on that next. That's it. And tomorrow when we get the second 90-degree fitting that we just ordered, we'll finish it off. It's probably gonna be a really short line. It'll probably stop like right here. So right now, I am going to remove everything that I did. Everything. So this entire electronic panel, the cake panel that we have there, it's gotta come out because the heater lines and the 2 AC lines that we have to make back here, it's behind this. So this whole thing's gotta come out, and then we have to start taking measurements behind this box to start making custom lines. So let's get to work!
We got a lot more freak content coming for you today, and it's a special day because we got a guest in house. We've got Harvey. You guys probably remember Harvey.
What's up, guys?
From the old days. He helped me with the Civic. I've introduced him before, but he was here about a year, or maybe a little over a year ago.
Yeah, over a year.
When we did the electric power steering kit in this car, which is something that he created and has sort of pioneered and sells. So if you guys are in the market for electronic power steering or want to convert and get rid of all the messy fluids and reservoirs and lines, this is your guy. He has some bolt-in applications.
I do. I make a bolting kit for Mazda Miata as of yet, and we're working on EG and EK, but
yeah.
we'll get there. With a lot of help with the R&D with this car, it's going to help us with our bolting kit. So
sweet. So if you guys do any type of autocross or just want to simplify your life on the street, if you have a street car, Harvey's kit is super cool because it's actually modulated with
a rheostat. So you can adjust how much assist you want from 0 assist to full assist.
I will say, like, even without any of this stuff hooked up, like we've only got the motor in there, the car turns super easy.
Yeah.
Because the way it's geared, I assume.
Yeah, and you're going to feel a lot more resistance once it's on the street and the track.
Because it can add resistance, right?
Yes.
Which is
The cool thing about this is you can turn it all the way off if you like more feedback in the wheel, or you can turn it all the way up and it'll eliminate all your bump steer. So for track guys, that, you know, it works out great.
No, that's sick. We're now on the back side of the project where we're kind of sort of winding down and we're getting a lot of the wiring buttoned up, and now basically what we're doing now is connecting the dots between our rye wire harness to Harvey's wiring kit. So he's doing a little bit of soldering now, which we'll show you guys, and let him kind of explain sort of what all this stuff is here, because there are a few different components that need to still get added to the car. We knew that going in. Now's the time to button it up.
So what we've done, guys, to make more room in the car is remove the control box from the unit itself. So we've cut 4 wires here, remove the box, and we're going to remotely mount this away from the controller so we have more room under the dash. So we're extending the 4 wires that come with it. We've also made a cover plate to cover up the power steering unit itself so no dust, dirt, or debris gets inside.
Because this used to be mounted on the motor
Correct.
itself.
This was mounted directly to the unit itself, but we needed more space in your application. Normally, like in an off-road application, we won't remove this.
Because they just tubular usually and have
yeah,
to keep a room
we've got a lot of room. Unfortunately, in this car, it's a Honda. We didn't have a lot of room, so we're going to.
Miata's the same?
No, Miata stays on.
fits,
Believe it or not, in a Miata, there's more room under the dash.
Cool. So this
Small
is a
car.
really turnkey kit for Miatas.
Yes, it's for Miata, it's a complete column bolt-in kit.
That's so cool.
You ship me your column, I ship you column done, it's bolted in, wired up.
Epic. So that's cool. So you lengthen these because
Yes.
normally these wires are super short because this is on the unit.
Yes.
So we're lengthening these, and so that'll allow us to remotely mount this to the chassis somewhere.
Wherever we want,
Which
yeah.
we know where we're going to put it. We'll show you guys that in a minute. This essentially powers that unit. So how does this get power? I see some connectors here.
So you've got power and ground that go here, which is the main harness. You're gonna go, let me open this up for you. This just plugs in here. This plug plugs into the motor that's already on the unit.
Which has that connector on
Has that
already.
connector. And then here's our controller. So our controller also just plugs directly into the unit. And then you've got where Ryan sent us the harness that has power and ground in it. We've got power and ground here, which is going to connect to our chassis harness, which is just ignition power that turns the unit on. And what we have left is yellow and gray will go to your control knob.
Ha! So trick, man. So simple.
Yeah, for wiring guys that are afraid of wiring, this is definitely up your alley. Mickey, yeah. It's
I
really
hate
simple.
wiring. That's why we have Ricky.
So the kit also comes with instructions, wiring instructions. Doesn't give you any mounting instructions. That's kind of up to you. That's pretty much the kit in itself. We're going to get it wired up and move on. If you guys are into electric power steering or any kind of off-road stuff, you can check me out on YouTube. It's Dune Addict, or hit me up on my Instagram, and I think they'll link it down below.
Well, as you guys saw, Harvey soldered on our extension leads and we drilled a hole in the bracket here, so we've got a nice little zip tie. Now normally there's a cover that actually clips on here and screws on. I've somehow misplaced that. We just drilled a hole, Harvey zip tied it to here. We're commissioning Will. We took him off the Z for 15 minutes to whip us up a Deutsch connector, which you can see here. So we'll weather pack this, and so this no longer is just wired directly to the unit. It's actually going to be able to be unplugged and removed. So if we have to replace this or something, I'm tapping one of the existing holes on this thing so that we can put a P-clip on here to hold this wiring right there. And yeah, should be a pretty solid little setup when we're done here. Then we get tossed in.
I know what Mickey's doing. What are you doing?
So the steering wheel, because the way the seat is sitting and the way our foot riser is going to be at, the steering wheel was a little bit too low. And the tilt was already all the way up. So in order for us to, instead of modifying the whole center console, we literally just shortened, we took 1 inch off of this and it gave us like 3 inches of travel in the front. So yeah, we already cut it, adjusted it, painted it, and now I'm clearing. You can see here, this is rubbing a little bit. So I'm clearing the area, so because of the new tilt, the position of this thing changed. So I'm clearing the area so the steering wheel can turn without rubbing. That's it.
Well, as Ricky explained, he's working on steering wheel positioning because as custom as this car is, we've literally hung new pedals, hung a new drive-by-wire throttle pedal, which we created a box to mount on because you can't use the factory location because we made the tunnel bigger, which got into where the factory pedal sat. There's a lot of, because of this, we had to do that going on. Where we're at now is stabilizing Harvey's electric power steering motor assembly. So if it were just for me, it would be simple. Just tack weld it in place and ship it. Don't even put an adjustable seat rail. Just mount it and then it's for my use only type of thing. But because we want to enjoy this as a group at the track, we want to be able to have some adjustability, even if it is only a little bit. So what Ricky was just doing was he recreated the floor pan that we're going to have, the riser, because we want the seating position to be as reclined as possible and straight leg as possible. I think we've got a good spot now. So now this pivot will be our only pivot here, the factory pivot, and then Harvey's electric power steering will get anchored basically to the bulkhead up here. We'll either weld in some nuts or we'll just nutsert this area and build something that captures the motor and is going to stop the steering column from doing this, because right now we have a pretty serious issue. You couldn't drive the car like this because the steering wheel would just be all over the place. So I think we're in good shape now. Ricky's on it, and now we just need to shore up the EPS module, and then we can start mounting the electronics. All right, it's the moment of truth. Now, we haven't mounted up the module yet, which is gonna go inside here. But Harvey's asked me to sit in the car so I can feel it. Okay, it's still like way easier than it would be if we just had a regular rack in here and just trying to manually steer it. I don't know what it is. It might be just the different gearing inside the electric power steering motor or something, but can definitely feel some assist even with it not powered up. But let's try it.
Remember, we went to a manual rack also.
Manual rack as well. So, oh, that's where the gearing changes at then probably. Okay, forgot about that. So let's try it with some power here. Harvey.
Yeah, let me jump in here and hook this thing up for you.
I don't need feet. So these are all the connectors. Now, this wire that he's plugging out needs to be lengthened. So we're gonna do that, but we don't need Harvey here for that. So we're literally just, this is just proof of concept. All right, and then again, this is temporary, guys. Everything we're doing here is temporary. It's all gonna get buttoned up. So there's on, so we now have key power. Do I need to turn this on too, or no?
You're on.
Oh man, it's like, look at this. You can literally just throw it. And that's without any adjustment.
It's all the way up.
Oh, you've got it. This is
It's on.
full power.
Yeah.
Dude, it's so perfect. And you got no fluid, no messy reservoir, no ugly lines. Man, this is the way to go. If you're trying to, one, clean up your car, engine bay, just less trouble, this is the way to go. Feels great.
Go ahead and turn it down. Turn it all the way down.
This is no assist.
No assist. We'll
So
turn it
this
off.
should be how,
Wait
it's a
about
little
5
bit, yeah. It's a little bit better than without the car on. Oh, there it went.
Yeah, we gotta wait.
Oh,
about,
it's heavy.
yeah. So that's what you guys thought was easy.
Yeah.
Now try it.
Oh my gosh.
That cool.
So
Wow.
think of that, Mickey, in aspect of the bump steer when you're at the track.
Yeah.
You know, when you're
Help a
fighting the
ton
steering
of
wheel,
that.
going through corners, and the car's hopping. It's gonna be nothing. You'd be holding the soda in your hand.
Oh man, and it's gonna be nice when I'm at the grocery store and have to like turn up and down the aisles.
Yep.
Wow. That joke, bro.
So now, you know, all the real hard work, difficult stuff is done. So huge shout out to Harvey. Check out his stuff. Ricky and I are gonna button this up now. Man, this is a huge improvement over what we had previously.
Otherwise, run across the firewall, and I already mounted the fuse, and the fuse is already attached to the main power harness that is attached to the breaker switch and the battery. So literally, you can turn the key on, and the power steering will actually work right now, even though nothing else is attached. Can't wait to put it in the track, put it to use.
We hope you enjoyed this installment on the Freak. This is gonna be an ongoing segment because we didn't really get anything finalized, so to speak, in this video. So these items that we knocked off are actually gonna continue on. So the oil pan is now gonna get shipped off to Rob over at Track Tough, where he's gonna weld in a baffle for us so that when we track this car, we don't have oil starvation issues. So we'll powder coat that and reinstall it. Ricky and I are waiting on fittings for the AC system from Vintage Air. So because this is a custom unit that we're putting together here, we used a lot of the fittings that came in their kit. And we needed some oddball fittings that weren't in the kit. So we're waiting on those to arrive. Those will be here tomorrow. So we can actually button up the AC system at that point, as well as the heater core lines. We have Brendan from Dime PSI coming down again later this week to help us with some of the other lines that need to get done as well. So that'll be in the next episode. And we also had Harvey come down and he helped us out to get the wiring buttoned up into our Rywire harness and to our PDM for his electric power steering kit. So it's a lot of progress, but nothing really got finalized. Well, I guess the electric power steering got finalized, so that's cool. We'll have to have you guys join us for the next video where we'll button up both of these other systems and you guys see the final progress there. And we're gonna get on to the other things that it's gonna allow us to get this thing started up for the first time. So stay tuned, guys. Hit that subscribe button. Leave us a comment down below if you like this video. Let us know what you think. We'll see you in the next one.